Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. United Kingdom hands sovereignty of Chagos Islands to Mauritius. World Bank launches the first edition of its Business Ready Index. Nepal, India, Bangladesh signed pact to facilitate cross-border electricity trade. Global framework on chemicals fund to support chemicals and waste management in developing economies. International Renewable Energy Agency published its annual review 2024 report titled Renewable Energy and Jobs. Reserve Bank of India released study on monetary policy transmission and labour markets in India. In a historic political development, the United Kingdom has agreed to hand over sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. This marks a major step in resolving a long-standing dispute over one of the last British colonies in Africa. However, it's important to note that this agreement is still subject to the finalization of a treaty. One key detail in this arrangement is that the US-UK military base on Diego Garcia Atoll will remain operational. So what exactly is the Chagos Archipelago and why is this agreement significant? The Chagos Archipelago is a group of islands located 500 kilometers south of Maldives in Indian Ocean region or IOR. These islands were uninhabited until the 18th century, after which they were colonized by the French. In 1814, the French ceded control of the archipelago to the British. Then in 1965, the UK formed the British Indian Ocean Territory or BIOT with Chagos at its core. Interestingly, some BIOT islands were later ceded to Seychelles in 1976. What complicates the history is that archipelago was detached from Mauritius by UK in 1965, 3 years before Mauritius gained independence. Now, let's explore the significance of this historic treaty. First and foremost, this agreement addresses the colonial legacy, ending a prolonged dispute over the last British colony in Africa. But it's not just about history. The agreement also has important regional security dynamics as Mauritius may seek to balance its relations with major powers. The security importance of the Chagos Archipelago cannot be overstated. The Diego Garcia military base allows US to monitor Malacca Strait, which is crucial for global trade, and also maintain its presence in Indian Ocean region. This handover also aligns with international law. The transfer of the Chagos Islands is in compliance with the 2019 ruling from the International Court of Justice and a subsequent UN General Assembly resolution in 2019. Back then, India supported Mauritius' claim by voting in favor of Mauritius at UNGA in 2019. This decision was in line with India's principled stand on decolonization and its support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of nations. In a significant global development, the World Bank has launched the first edition of its Business Ready Index, a comprehensive framework designed to assess the business environment across 50 economies. By the year 2026, the index aims to expand its coverage to 180 economies worldwide, offering a holistic view of private sector development. This new index serves as a successor of the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business or EODB rankings, which were discontinued in 2021 due to ethical irregularities. The EODB report had ranked countries based on how easy it was to open and operate a business, but the Business Ready Index or Be Ready goes much further. The Be Ready Index provides a detailed quantitative assessment of the business environment with a focus on 3 key pillars that are essential for private sector development. It aims to contribute to the World Bank Group's twin goals of eliminating poverty and boosting shared prosperity. The Business Ready Index or Be Ready offers a more comprehensive assessment compared to the Ease of Doing Business rankings, evaluating the business environment from both the perspective of individual firms and the broader private sector. While Ease of Doing Business focused mainly on small and medium enterprises, Be Ready also examines the regulatory burden alongside the quality of regulations, providing a qualitative edge. Additionally, it balances both de jure or statutory laws and de facto practical implementation data, offering a more holistic view. Unlike Ease of Doing Business, Be Ready covers diverse topics, including critical areas like labor regulations, which were previously excluded. In a landmark move, Nepal, India, and Bangladesh have signed an agreement to facilitate cross-border electricity trade. This agreement will enable Nepal to export hydroelectricity to Bangladesh using Indian transmission lines as the conduit. The arrangement is part of several initiatives aimed at enhancing cross-border South Asian energy cooperation. For instance, India and Bangladesh are working on an upcoming electricity corridor connecting Katihar in Bihar to Bornagar in Assam. In the same vein, India and Nepal are cooperating on hydropower projects like Arun III and the Upper Karnali hydropower projects. Let's not forget India's long-standing partnership with Bhutan through projects such as Kurichu, Tala, Chukha, and Mangdechu, all contributing to the growing web of cross-border energy connectivity. Now, beyond electricity, the region is also seeing significant progress in energy pipelines. Initiatives like the Tapi pipeline, which aims to transport natural gas, the India-Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline, and the Motihari-Amlekganj pipeline are a few examples that show the increasing integration of energy networks. Additionally, the push for renewable energy cooperation is exemplified by India's leadership through the International Solar Alliance and the Green Grids Initiative, which promotes sustainable and resilient energy grids, including the OSO-WOG project or One Sun, One World, One Grid. But why is this energy cooperation so significant? One of the key reasons is the need to counter growing Chinese influence. China has been investing heavily in South Asian energy infrastructure, aiming to import energy from its South Asian partners. For India and its partners, cross-border energy trade also helps in regional economic integration, as energy trade is a key enabler of regional integration. By working together, these nations are building a framework for greater economic and energy independence, which can also contribute to environmental sustainability. However, like any ambitious plan, this energy cooperation comes with its challenges. Environmental concerns such as those raised over the Upper Karnali hydropower project in Nepal highlight the need for careful planning to protect the delicate Himalayan ecosystem. Additionally, hurdle rates or the structural cost and the barriers involved in grid connectivity between countries need to be addressed for smooth electricity trade. And of course, regional frictions such as the ongoing conflicts between India and Pakistan add another layer of complexity to cooperation efforts. Lastly, there is the limited utility of hydropower projects, which may not always be reliable due to factors like changing river patterns and climate change impacts. Despite these challenges, several institutional mechanisms are in place to support energy cooperation in the region. Organizations like the SAARC Energy Center, South Asia Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC Energy Center, and the South Asia Regional Initiative for Energy Integration are working towards facilitating smoother coordination and collaboration across borders. In a major development for environmental sustainability, the Global Framework on Chemicals Fund has launched its first project call, targeting the safe and sustainable management of chemicals and waste in developing economies. This initiative is a crucial step toward minimizing the harmful impacts of chemicals on both human health and the environment. The GFC Fund was established in 2023 during the 5th International Conference on Chemicals Management in Bonn, Germany. The fund is overseen by an executive board composed of 2 national representatives from each United Nations region, as well as donors and contributors. It complements existing financial mechanisms like the Global Environment Facility, which supports biodiversity and climate action. The primary objective of the GFC Fund is to assist low and middle-income countries, including small island developing states, in managing chemicals and waste in alignment with international standards. The fund is aimed at medium-scale projects that bolster national and regional capacities in this critical area. Selected projects will receive between $300,000 and $800,000 in financial support for up to 3 years. The funding provided through voluntary contributions will help minimize harmful effects of chemicals and waste while safeguarding the environment and public health. The Bonn Declaration adopted at ICCM5 sets out 28 targets for addressing chemical and waste management, including preventing illegal trade and eliminating highly hazardous pesticides in agriculture by 2035. Wrapping up, let's also learn about some other global initiatives for sustainable management of chemicals and waste. First and foremost, we have the strategic approach to international chemicals management, which is a global policy framework to minimize health and environmental impacts of chemicals throughout their life cycle. Second is the Basel Convention, an international treaty to regulate transboundary movement and disposal of hazardous wastes. And lastly, the Stockholm Convention, a global treaty to protect human health and environment from effects of persistent organic pollutants. In a significant report released by the International Renewable Energy Agency, the Annual Review 2024 titled Renewable Energy and Jobs highlighted the rapid growth of the global renewable energy workforce, which now stands at 16.2 million, up from 13.7 million in 2022. IRENA, an intergovernmental organization that supports global energy transformation, has played a pivotal role in facilitating international cooperation, and India is an active member in this energy transition. India's renewable energy sector continues to grow with an estimated 1.02 million jobs in 2023. The largest employer in this sector is hydropower, followed closely by solar photovoltaic. India added 9.7 gigawatts of solar PV capacity in 2023, ranking 5th globally for new installations. The country's cumulative capacity reached 72.7 gigawatts by the end of 2023, creating 2.38 lakh jobs in grid-connected solar PV alone. Wind energy is another key area of growth for India. With 44.7 gigawatt of wind power capacity in 2023, India ranked 4th globally and added 2.8 gigawatt during the year. India's renewable energy capacity has seen an impressive 165% increase over the past decade, rising from 76.38 gigawatts in 2014 to a staggering 203.1 gigawatt in 2024, making it the 4th largest country in terms of installed renewable energy capacity. However, the report also raises concerns about skill gaps in the renewable energy industry. As the sector expands rapidly, the demand for a suitably skilled workforce is outpacing the supply. The lack of effective skills anticipation and monitoring systems prevents countries from adapting education and training programs to meet market demands. IRENA's recommendations include stronger policy coherence, social dialogue, and public-private partnerships to ensure a smooth energy transition. Examples like the Philippines' Sectoral Human Resource Development Plan on renewable energy. It also calls for enhancing technical and vocational education and training programs by incorporating work-based learning will equip students with practical skills necessary for careers in renewable energy. For example, Zimbabwe's Green Enterprise Program. India's renewable energy growth is also powered by ambitious government initiatives such as the National Green Hydrogen Mission, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, the Green Energy Corridors, and the Renewable Energy Certificate Mechanism. In a significant development, the Reserve Bank of India has released an insightful study on monetary policy transmission and labour markets in India. This study delves deep into how the informality in labour markets impacts inflation stabilization, shedding new light on monetary policy mechanisms in the country. To start with, let's understand what monetary policy actually is. Essentially, it's a set of actions available to a nation's central bank, here the Reserve Bank of India, to achieve sustainable economic growth and maintain price stability by adjusting the money supply. The statutory basis for this comes from the RBI Act of 1934, which was amended in 2016. Now, the monetary policy framework is quite interesting. The central government, in consultation with the RBI, sets an inflation target based on the consumer price index every 5 years. Currently, India follows a flexible inflation targeting regime with a target of 4%, allowing for a tolerance of plus minus 2% until March 2026. Moving on to the tools of monetary policy, the RBI utilizes both direct and indirect instruments such as the repo rate and reverse repo rate to achieve its objectives. Depending on the economic scenario, monetary policy can be either expansionary, that is, lowering interest rates to stimulate economic activity, or contractionary, raising interest rates to control inflation. Now, let's turn to the key findings of the study. It reveals that monetary policy transmission improves with more formality in the labour market. However, when a contractionary monetary policy is applied, unemployment tends to rise in both formal and informal sectors. Not only that, it also has an impact on macroeconomic variables as CMP also leads to declines in key macroeconomic variables such as aggregate consumption, inflation, investment output, and capital stock. Shifting focus to the Monetary Policy Committee, a critical body constituted by central government to determine policy rates such as repo rate for achieving inflation targeting. The committee consists of 6 members, the Governor of RBI, who serves as the ex officio chairperson along with 5 other members, 2 from the RBI and 3 appointed by the government. Each member of the committee has 1 vote, with the governor having the casting vote in case of a tie. The MPC meets at least 4 times a year and a quorum of 4 members is required to make decisions. In today's personality news, we will discuss Shyamji Krishna Varma. He's in news as the Prime Minister paid tribute to freedom fighter Shyamji Krishna Varma on his birth anniversary. He was born in 1857 in modern-day Gujarat. In terms of his key contributions, he founded Indian Home Rule Society, India House in London to carry out anti-British activities. He also inspired Veer Savarkar and published a monthly journal called Indian Sociologist. He became the first president of Bombay Arya Samaj and was an admirer of Dayanand Saraswati. In 1905, he was barred from practicing law by Inner Temple, a professional association for barristers in London, following charges of sedition. In face of criticism, he shifted his base from England to Paris and continued his movement. Throughout his life, he displayed the values of patriotism, courage, selfless service, and more. As we wrap up today's bulletin, let's have a look at some quick updates. Assam has launched a first-of-its-kind, unique concept of co-district within a district administration in place of the existing system of civil subdivisions. Co-districts are smaller administrative units below districts headed by an officer of rank of Assistant Direct Commissioner. Bureau of Indian Standards is creating a National Agriculture Code similar to National Building Code and National Electrical Code. NAC Code will have 2 parts. First will contain general principles for all crops and second will deal with crop-specific standards for paddy, wheat, oilseeds and pulses. Bihar is facing severe flooding affecting 1.184 million people who have been forced from their homes. The floods have caused damage to crops, infrastructure, loss of livestock and distress migration, etc. 9 captive bird pygmy hogs released in Assam's Manas National Park. Pygmy hog lives in tall, dense grasslands with shrubs and trees constructing dome-shaped nests from vegetation. First batch of pilgrims viewed Mount Kailash from old Lipu Lake Pass. Previously, pilgrims had to travel to Tibet Autonomous Region to view the peak. Lipu Lake Pass is an international mountain pass above Kalapani Valley. Plant cover across Antarctic Peninsula is increasing due to climate crisis. Greening of Antarctica refers to growth of vegetation, for example moss, on a continent dominated by ice and bare rock due to extreme heat waves. Warming in the region is happening much faster than global average, accelerating between 2016 and 2021. The World Health Organization announced the inclusion of the first monkeypox in vitro diagnostic kit under its emergency use list procedure. EUL is a risk-based procedure for assessing and listing unlicensed medical products. Scientists have detected carbon dioxide and hydrogen peroxide on Charon, Pluto's moon, using NASA's James Webb Telescope. It will help in understanding the origin of Charon and other moons of Pluto and also the origins and evolution of icy bodies in the outer solar system. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solution to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.